Hello, hello, hello. All right. Sorry about that, folks. I realized I did not have the project set up on my iMac, which took a bit to run Composer and add Docker and then rebuild the database and yada, yada, yada. So, definitely took just a second. Appreciate y'all's patience to get that running. Let me know you can see me and hear me okay. I think all the audio should be good. Um, yeah, cool. I did some live streaming last week with Frake, so the settings were just a bit adjusted, but I think they're good now. Okay, so yeah, and just in the chat, let me know you can see and hear my screen okay. I'm going to proceed as though you can. All right, I'm going to run git open. So what we're going to do, you look this different on your stream. You look this different. I don't know what that means. Um, oh, you mean my picture? Yeah. New haircut, little less beard. Um, it's summertime. It's my summer look. Okay, so let's back up a second. What am I gonna do today? Um, okay, so here's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna be working on a new project. Not really a huge secret. I've been talking about it on Twitter a little bit. But in all of these tweets recently. So here's these little spicy tips that I've been putting out lately. Here's for example, I made a moment yesterday. I should probably pin this tweet actually. Let me do that while I'm thinking about it. Pin that to profile. Pin. There we go. So anyways, I've been sharing a bunch of these tweets, these spicy tips as I've done before with BaseCode. These are more focused on Layerville. And I want to wrap these up not only into a moment, but some future live streams, but then also just kind of a site to collect all of them with the, of course, eventual podcast or so forth. Probably the same BaseCode podcast, but a mini series on that. So there's starting to be a lot of content, and I have more content that I'm creating. So I want to take BaseCode and make a base Laravel site. So I got the domain, all that set up, spoke with Taylor, made sure everything's cool with the naming and all that kind of stuff. And so I want to take this site and copy it. It's Laravel 7. It has some tests, but not all tests. And that's what I want to work on in this live stream. So what I want to do is take the opportunity to fill in any testing blanks and make sure that the BaseCode site is fully up to date. And I thought I'd just live stream it to kind of share my, process, workflow, good examples of using Shift. So that's fun. So I'll be able to do that. And then, of course, writing some tests as well. So I don't know how far we'll get. We'll still go basically an hour. So I'll go till about a quarter past 11 for me, but a quarter past wherever you are in the world. So we'll still go about an hour is the point. So here's the BaseCode site. It's Tailwind. It's a very tiny Laravel application. Uses Stripe for purchasing, as you can see here. So a lot of this just needs to be tweaked and updated. It is running Laravel 7, not the latest version of Laravel 7. So that's what we're going to do first. And honestly, it's probably running an older version of Tailwind. I don't think I'll update that today. I may do that in a separate stream. We'll see. So anyway, let's get moving. So the first thing I want to do is I've got all of these Laravel Updater out here. So what these are basically every week there's a weekly patch release with Laravel, and I built with Laravel Shift, of course. If we go take a look, we go take a look at the Shifty plans. In here, you get some automation tools, and one of these automation tools are continuous updates. And you automatically receive pull requests for the framework and Laravel package dependencies if you have a Shifty plan. So what this looks like is every week during the patch release, you'll get a tweak, and it says, okay, hey, Laravel 7.6.2 was released. It makes a branch, and it updates those dependencies as well as any other dependencies that are Laravel community related that Shift is aware of that needed updates. So, hey Vincent, yes, it's automatically, all streams are automatically recorded and then they'll be added to my live stream playlist on YouTube. So the point is I have weeks and weeks of these that I've yet to merge. So let's kind of clean this up first of all. So I'm going to close these. Let's mark those as closed. And let's just take the most recent one here from last week. And there'll actually be one here in a few hours. It's closing. I guess there's a lot of those. So it's taking a sec unless my internet crapped out. James, it won't be SCA compliant when it's enforced later this year. Yes, you're right. It's on my list to update all of these to Cashier 11 or Stripe 8 or whatever version is appropriate for the secure customer authentication or whatever, or strict customer authentication. I forget what it is, but anyway, yes, those extra bits. So we see these newer versions are actually a little bit smarter. They actually bump the constraint, and then again, they shift other things. So in this one, we actually see that it not only got Layerville, but it also got some of the other common packages that are part of Layerville. And hey, look, there's even a Stripe micro update. And it's also letting me know there are higher versions of these, for example, 1.0 to 2.0 that I may want to do. So again, all this is automated for me. I get this pull request without thinking about it. And what I need to do is effectively merge this. So that's what I'm going to do. That way I know I have the latest. And I'll pull this down. And let's go back to Docker, because that has my latest, greatest environment. And we'll do a composer, cd BaseCode. I tweeted about this last week, but I added this stupid little emoji here just because my prompt looks exactly the same otherwise. So this kind of lets me know I'm on Docker. Because I was like shooting commands and it wasn't working, and it was because I wasn't on Docker when I thought I was, and all this junk. So we're gonna run composer update in the background on that. And while that's running, which will probably take a sec, let's go clean up all these nasty old branches. Boom, boom. Oh, look at that. They actually changed these icons. Those are just slightly different. I'm actually working on a script that like does this more automated instead of me clicking all of these, but whatever. All right, let's get it back to just master. There we go. That's a lot better. So one branch, master branch. Beautiful. Okay, that's running. While that's running, let's go back to shift and let's run a new shift. And this will be, I'm already on the latest version, so I want to run the test generator. So let's purchase this, and I want to run this on the BaseCode field guide project, and directly on master is fine, and I'm not Bitbucket, I'm GitHub. Okay, and real quick, let's do vendor bin PHP unit. Why isn't PHP unit? Only carbon. What the hell? That doesn't make any sense. Why isn't PHP unit part of this project? Oh, I'm in the wrong. BaseCode is a mono repo. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's a mono repo. The book itself is actually in a manuscript top level. Let me show that. It's a little cleaner. So yeah, the manuscript and some source things to actually build the ebook, and then the build directory is all top level, and the site itself is one level deeper. So that's why that was all a little off. So let's run composer update again, and we'll just visibly look at the tests that I have down underneath site. So I do have some tests, in fairness. Like it's not all for nothing. In fact, most of them are pretty well tested. So really all I want to do is run the test generator as an example, see what, it's just a quick way for me to see like what tests are there and not there. And I could run a coverage report, but it's just one of those things where instead of running the coverage report, finding I'm missing stuff, which I already know I am, and then running the test generator, I'm just going to run the test generator kind of as my coverage report. Because it's not going to overwrite anything that exists. It'll make separate files, and then we can compare them and kind of, again, see and be ready to work on what is truly missing. So I'm not even going to let that finish. We know we have tests. Let's just go ahead and run this. And we'll get a little peek into Layerville while we're doing this. Let me open up a new command prompt, and I'm going to get into worker O2, I think is kind of my test box. And we will do var layerville shift, and this is just me running shift manually instead of paying. In fact, it's not a big deal because I have a plan. So you know what? Let's just click run here. But I could run this manually. In fact, just a little window into support. A lot of the times when people need a rerun or whatever, it's just I just built a little artisan command. So I just come in and do that. But because I have a plan, let's actually run it through the interface. So it's going to run here, but what I will let us see is let's look at that log file I talk about in some of my Layerville by the numbers conference talks and stuff at previous LayerCons. So this is that output. It's just, a bunch of little, kind of analytic messages or tags. So there's an event here that it matched the core file, and it let me know it couldn't upgrade these files. There's no specific data necessarily, like what you had in those files. It's just high-level metrics that let me know, where I can tweak shift more. If everyone's, PHP unit file is not getting upgraded, then I would know, like, okay, I should probably spend some more time on tweaking that automation. So the rest of the stuff is just kind of other output as far as like how long something took to complete. I can see, again, if something's not very performant or, is sucking up a lot of CPU, that's happened before. So, just go from there. Looks like it, yeah, looks like it generated pretty much everything just fine. So let's go take a look at this PR. So I'll shut this down and everything installed. So let's go ahead and run the existing tests that we do have and just make sure everything's kind of passing. So we do have a lot of incomplete tests. Look at that. So we can definitely be messing with that. We got an exception. So we'll let those run for a second. James, have you ever run into any security issues when running third-party code on your server? Technically, I don't run the application. It's just all static analysis and like tokenization. So it's very rare that something gets run. The test generator is one of the more kind of runs your code with some reflection and artisan kind of stuff. So short answer is no, but the concern is there and in my mind. So as you saw this worker box, these are all kind of virtualized, so they run completely independently. And they're detached from the actual website, so there's no interaction. It's a command that actually triggers a VM to run a command inside of that. So it's very detached. So even if somebody were to do something malicious, they're only breaking their own code, so to speak. Again, that might be a little naive, but the point is it's pretty detached. So it is something that's in my mind, but not something I've encountered, to the point of your question. That's not an invitation, folks. I'm sure smarter hackers exist out there than me. It's not really my specialty. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at this pull request. So again, we've got some outdated files, so I want to take a look at those. Shift generated 0 model factories, probably because I already have model factories, so this wording should actually be a little better. I'm just going to take a little screenshot of this. I like to do that to let me know things I want to work on and tweak. And this is as a tangent, this is a beautiful, you got to dog food your products and services. You got to dog food your own apps, the things you work on. Like that's why I think Shift is, done so well. Is because not only do I use it, but I go in and refine it in ways in which I could see it be better. Like some people might be like, oh, it didn't generate any model factories. Yeah, that makes sense. But this message could be more clear. Like you already had model factories, so you're good. Thumbs up or whatever. Okay, so shift generated 10 controllers while these were stubbed, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that makes sense. And then yes, we see that shift generated the following test with a .shift PHP extension since they already existed. So we knew we already had these controllers. So basically in this branch, anything that doesn't have the .shift PHP, we know is something I was missing. So we got 4 form requests, but then I see 4 here. So again, it looks like I already had all the form requests. That's great. It generated 1 command, so I was missing that. We disable telescope. This is actually done by default now, which is probably why this PHP unit file is out of date. And then, hey, this pairs up nicely with Confident Layerville. Go get a copy. So yeah, so I wrote it, I own it, I made it, so I'm already familiar with Confident Layerville. All right, let's just start at the top, right? So let's do, so it looks like curl's actually trying to hit the endpoint. Interesting, no problem. Okay, so let's do a git fetch origin. Oh, I'm on Docker. Let's get out of Docker. That's probably why that curl command didn't work out so well either. Okay, git fetch origin. All right, git checkout, shift 28. That should be enough. There we go. We ran composer update here. Let me commit some of this stuff. Git commit dash m or let's see. Let's do these separately. Site env dev was for my Docker setup. So let's do that first. Git commit dash m tweak config for local Docker dev. Git add site database. Git commit dash m fix or drop removed column from Cedar. That was another little headache I had, which is why we started late. And then what's left. And I'm just going to reset hard that because we're about to run composer update on this branch anyway. So let's do that checkout again. And let's run composer update. And while that's running, let's go look at these files. Okay, so just for giggles, or well, first of all, let's compare PHP unit with the default. So it gives me a link in the shift. Let's go check out PHP unit. I'm just going to get the raw version, copy that, open this up, and I'm just going to paste this. And I'm going to use git diff-w. So there's actually no differences? No, that can't be right. Why did it complain if there are absolutely no differences? That is strange. That's making me question everything. Okay then, fair enough. I mean, PHP Storm's not highlighting any differences either. Normally they put like a little bit over here that's like something has changed, but very interesting. Okay, fair enough. I should probably check that out. So I'll put a checkbox there. Let's look at the test case while we're at it. So let's go back to that. Test case. So this, oh, I probably extended the test case with some extra local bit. Yeah, I've got my HTTP assertions in there. Okay, no problem. Well, in fact, I actually want to remove that. So let's kind of start this over default again. And these are actually, what are these now? These are additional test. Why is it not? I should have gotten the latest version of my additional assertions, but I didn't. Let's bump this to 2.0. And now let's run composer update again. Because I changed the name of that trait. That's why I wanted. That's what kind of triggered me that this was a little bit weird. It's also very weird that this is not updating. Let's go check this. I don't want to get too stuck on this, but that's surprising to me that maybe 1.0 is the right tag. 1.0 is the right tag. Okay, fair enough. Composer show. Oh shit. That happens to me every time. This is one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of the mono repos, is like I'm not even like in the right directory half the time. There we go. Third time's a charm, people. All right, cool. I was wondering why Composer didn't have the little show versions here. That's supposed to be a new thing in PHP Storm, which, yeah, I'm running the latest version. Okay, anyway, let's go back to the test case. This should be like additional assertions, I think. Additional assertions. There we go. Cool. All right, that should fix that. Let's run vendor bin php unit, and let's just kind of see where we land again. All right. Cool. So yeah, okay, good. So that curl error we had before, if we kind of remember way back up in Docker land, was actually throwing an exception. We're out of the exception, so technically we're running clean, so the update's all good. So now I just kind of want to go through and take a look at like what's missing. So now let's get into actually writing some tests and kind of comparing what Shift gave us versus kind of what we have to let me know the gaps. So I definitely want to start with the controllers. I think the controllers, I talk about this in Confident Layerville, kind of in the introduction, which there's a couple free chapters and free videos for Confident Layerville. So definitely check those out. Not trying to push the product, just saying I talk about this in more detail there. So if you're really new to testing, those could be good to watch regardless. But anyway, the point here is that for Laravel, an HTTP test really gives you a lot of coverage because not only are you actually requesting your application, but it's hitting the controller, the database. So it's just touching so many pieces of the application. And for most developers, for most Laravel applications, they're just not that complicated with events or notifications or broadcasts or job queues or whatever. Most requests are just doing something with the database and then sending a response. So you basically touch your entire application stack, all the layers, with an HTTP test. So what I want to do is just kind of go through these and make sure that whatever is kind of implemented over here actually looks pretty good on the left or right. So we'll compare the Shift version on the left to the actual one I have on the right, and we'll just kind of see what's going on here. So in this case, this is actually still an incomplete test. So it kind of looks like the test that I got. It looks like the test that I'm getting from Shift is actually better than what I have currently. So I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna leave it incomplete, but I'm actually gonna take the other side here. So let's take these assertions, and we'll leave that to do. That's good. And then we got the add-on store, that's all good. And this actually asserts a redirect, so let's steal that. That looks better. Okay, good. So we know that one's up to date, so I'm going to delete the shift file, and we'll just kind of do these for the rest of these real fast. So let's compare these two. Again, we've got our little purchasing power bit, and I actually like this to be covers. And let me just do that other little screenshot thing there. I'm going to update I found this covers after the fact. I like having this little annotation because it gives me click-through to the controller, which is nice to see what I'm testing. And in certain IDEs like PHP Storm, you can actually hit the play button or the test button, and it all kind of links up with these kind of annotations. But covers is actually similar to C, and it's used more in like PHP unit testing land. So this is actually more accurate for what I'm trying to say. This test covers this class. Okay, so what do we have here? So it looks like these are actually in a lot better place, the ones on the right. So I'm just going to simply delete this generated one. So good. Let's keep going. Okay, so show returns an OK response. This is an incomplete test. We have code for the coupon, and it asserts. So we get a better assertion in what Shift generated. So I'll take that. Now they're identical. Great. And we're going to go back and fill in these blanks, but I just want to. Has two usages that are not safe to delete. What's going on? That's very strange. Just delete it anyway. All right. Okay, same approach here. Looks like this just has a little bit better test, so I'm going to take that, but this has a little bit more setup for the dashboard, so that looks good. We'll steal that. Let's do one or two more of these, and then, again, I'll probably run out of time on the live stream anyway. So we have an assertion, okay, in the view assertion, so let's take that. User, assert okay, so all that's good. Let's do one more, and I think we'll go back and backfill these. Okay, so we have C. So this one we have filled out. I'm going to trust what's on the right, except for the fact that we're missing some of this stuff. So assert don't see, assert view has products. That's interesting. Oh, because does it redirect? No. Whatever. Let's put this in there. Actually, that's not really what I'm testing in this one. I think, yeah, I'm doing that up here. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, so this one's good. I think that's enough. Let's focus on getting all of those to-dos running in this set of tests. And what I'm going to do is actually limit PHP unit to the test feature HTTP folder. And let's just kind of see how many of these are incomplete. Okay, so the goal of the rest of this live stream for the next basically half hour, we're going to try to get those 11 incomplete tests passing to be not complete. Not incomplete. All right, cool. So let's get moving. Let's close down some of this. Let's see the chat. I'm going to move the chat for now, but feel free to keep chatting me if you see something. And we'll just start, I'm trying to think. I guess the easiest would just be to start top down. Let's start checking this out. So let's open this add-on controller. Add-on controller might be a tough one to start with, but that's okay. Let's do covers. There we go. Okay, so index simply returns a view, and the view is going to be the requested user, so that's pretty straightforward. We can just say user. And this is going to, the order here is going to return, add-on controller returns the user or the order when you have one. So notice it's first. So in this case, it asserts null. Okay, this is funny. This is actually a little bit of a gotcha that we're starting with. So this is cool. So let's narrow it down to just this test. So we'll say controllers, add-on controller, and there's our 2. So I'm going to remove this risky test. This should just kind of auto pass. Oh, just kidding. No such table users. Insert into users. Do I not have, oh, I don't have a refresh database. That's interesting. Use refresh database. I'm surprised Shift didn't add that. Maybe I just didn't copy it over. Okay, so we're getting a 500, so let's turn off exception handling so we can better see why. Index returns an OK response. Index returns an OK. Oh, without is what I meant to say, without exception handling. All right, what's wrong with you? Trying to get property product ID of non-object. Okay, let's go down to index, the add-ons index, and see. My guess is this is happening in the view. So let's find product ID. There we go. Okay. That's kind of interesting. This is kind of interesting. Does BaseCode, I don't remember if BaseCode field guide. Okay. Okay, sorry. Sorry about that. Here's where my head's going. Confident Laravel actually allows you to sign up for a free course. Again, like I was saying, you can actually watch lesson 1 for free and get into the dashboard. But BaseCode, there's always a product you have to buy. So there's always an order that you've made. So a minute ago, I was actually thinking, okay, well, this can be null. Just looking at it, it looked like it could be null. But it can't because by design or by the nature of the checkout, the assumption is that when you get here, there's always going to be an order. So if it can never be null. So we need to drive that out in our test by saying this is an order. And then this test would fail if you ever passed null in, right? Okay, so let's just change this too while I was thinking about it. Displays a view, or the view, or displays view, I think is kind of my common strategy. And then let's make an order. And we can actually just make this order, or order equals factory, order class, and just straight up create it. And I'm pretty sure the order factory, let's just go take a look. The order factory, I think in turn creates a user, which is good, and a product. So it creates everything we need. We don't need to do anything else with it. It's kind of weird that I actually make a coupon, default it with a coupon. I don't like that. We'll come back to that later. And then what we can do is say order user. And let's break that down a line because it's a little cleaner, I think. And then this will be order user. And let's cut that out. Okay, so we shouldn't, I'm going to leave exception handling on just for a second, but we make an order which gives us a user and the product, everything set up and built correctly. Thank you, factories. We should get an OK response with the add-ons view, and the view should get the user, which is the same user as the order, which is the same user as the requested user. So we get a nice tight test right there. And then we have the order, which of course is the order where it's that user's. Now it does say first, which is weird. You should never have multiple orders. But again, implementation detail, not a big deal. Okay, good, we're passing. So we just have that one more incomplete test. So let's keep driving on. But I don't want to forget to drop the with exception handling. Okay, so store, this one is going to be the complicated one. So what I want to do is I want to punt this just for a minute, because when we get to the order controller, this is basically like creating an order. And if I already have test code for that, we can use that to help us drive this a little quicker. So let's consider that done for the moment, and let's keep moving on. So apply purchasing power. I think this one was in a pretty good place, but let's just take a look to make sure we're fully covered. Okay, so this is just an invocable controller. Everything here is passing, I believe, but again, let's just make sure. So let's say apply purchasing power. Everything's green, plenty of tests. So we just have one thing, but we have 4 tests. So let's take a look at this. If the signed URL is invalid, you get a 403. So you get to this from a signed URL. That's excellent. If you tampered with the URL, so I'm basically testing Layerville's signed temporary URLs, as you can see here. Probably don't need to do that, but whatever. The tests are already written, and I'm never one to really delete a test. So same thing here, is if it's expired, it's going to kick us out. Then we get to the actual token. So if you come in here and you have an invalid code, this should really probably say does nothing for an invalid coupon code, I think is what we're really trying to say there. Yeah, cool. And then it sets a coupon, or what does it do? It puts it in the session. So let's say it stores coupon for valid code. There we go. Cool. And then we'll just keep this. We know we're talking about coupons, so just to keep some symmetry there, invalid code, valid code. So again, just a tiny thing there. Let's make sure I didn't break anything. Good, and we're still running. And notice I only changed the test, I didn't change the code. Never change both at the same time. you can end up in a weird place if your tests start failing. Cool. Okay, so let's move on to coupon controller. We have covers, and I definitely see some incomplete code here. So let's do coupon. So we just have one test in here. So let's see what the coupon controller looks like. It's show, coupon controller show. Okay. Coupon controller show. So this was kind of a way to be cruddy by design, which is, I mean, where I'm only using the 7 resourceful CRUD actions that Layerville provides. So really what show does is in the URL, you have the promotional code. It goes to the show page, and then it does the same thing that we saw in apply. It pulls out the coupon code. If you have one, it puts it in the session and then redirects you back. So because of that, and because we know all these tests are passing, I'm actually going to steal these bottom two and copy them into the controller test, and then write those here. And it basically does the same thing, right? We just need to kind of change the coupon code that we do here, or what we get. So let's change this up, and we'll say get promotion code, and here we can just say invalid code. And we don't need a temporary URL anymore. So I'm actually going to get rid of this because it goes to the same spot. It doesn't even, or we are going to use the database down here, so we're good. And then same thing down here. Let's assert that we put a coupon. We don't need that. And this time we actually call promotions with the appropriate valid code here. So let's say coupon code. And there's actually one level we missed, but let's make sure we're on the right track here. Oh, we already had that. Okay, so we have one test, but one failure. Failed asserting that null matches expected 1. All right, what did I break here? Let's bring these up. Okay, so we're going to say coupon create and not was already used by request user. So where expired null. Let's take a look at the coupon factory. There we go. Coupons are expired by default, which is kind of ugly. I don't really like that. So let's do this. Let's run all the tests and make sure that I'm only failing in this one failure, which I am. And I'm going to change this factory to be null. I want expired to be null by default. And let's make sure no other tests break. And if no other tests break, well, actually, our test started passing, which makes sense because it shouldn't have been expired by default. So again, when you change factory data, the point there is when you change factory data, you want to be really careful because other tests might depend on the way the state of that factory was by default, especially this default bit. And that's one of the reasons I like making factories just kind of the bare minimum default state. I don't want to set any like ancillary data. And that was what I wanted to hint on just a minute ago when I went back to that order factory. I thought it was really weird that this sets a coupon by default. That really shouldn't be the default state of an order factory, is to be one with a coupon code. I'm okay with it being something you already purchased. That makes sense. But it's kind of weird that it had a coupon code. So that's what I was getting at just a minute ago. I'd like to just have that be null as well. And instead of removing this and taking what's in the database, again, I can communicate that by putting null here. So I want all attributes listed, but I want to set things explicitly on or off to give me a good, sensible default data definition. Okay, getting back to our regular test. So we're all green here. But of course, we're not done. We need to kind of hint at this little guy here. This was already used, because we don't really want to get in there if somehow you've already used this coupon code. So let's just take a look at that method. Coupon. So that's down in the coupon controller, or sorry, coupon model. Was already used. It's going to return false, or it's going to return true if you have an order with that coupon. So that should be pretty easy to test. We're already kind of testing the null aspect of that. So there's two more tests I want to write here. I'm going to copy this, or well, actually we want to copy this one, but they're the sad paths. So let's bring them up here. So it does nothing for an expired. Let's start there. Expired coupon code, so I want to trigger that. So let's make a coupon code and let's do the proper thing and do a state of expired. And let's go back to our coupon factory and let's make a new state. So factory, whoops, define, it's going to be on app, or is it state? yeah, it's state, and then it's app coupon class, and we'll do function faker, I think, or no, I don't think we really need any data there. We just need the state. So the state is going to be expired, and the attributes we want to override in this case would be expired. And since we don't need faker, I think I can just say something like now, or even like, is there a yesterday? No, there's not a yesterday. So I can just do now sub month or days. Let's just, it expired 10 days ago. Who cares? Whoops, wrong spot. There we go. That's what we want. Let's get our little trailing comma in there. Be good kids. Okay, we got a failure, failed asserting that null matches expected 1 for an expired code. And of course, the session should not have. I just copied the wrong test. So let's prop that in there, and that's more of what we expect. Bingo. All right, one more, and the one more is this was already used. So let's say something like this, and we'll say it does nothing for an expired, or in this case, it's not expired, for a code or a coupon which user already redeemed. There we go, better word. I would have said user already used, and that was a lot of uses in there. So we don't want it to be an expired coupon, but what we do want to do is make an order, and that order will be a factory for the order class, and we'll create that. I'm all over the keyboard. Hold on. I think it moved down on my desk, which is why I'm getting a lot of misses. And this will be coupon ID equals coupon ID. Cool. And then we need to authorize them. So we'll say acting as order user, and we'll get that, and it should, minus the fact that we didn't import that, this should auto pass, and it does. And just for giggles, let's make another user, because sometimes when things auto pass like that, even though I'm, a pro at testing these days, I like to just, I like to make sure. Worst thing in the world is a test that you think's passing. It doesn't cover what you think it covers, and then you get back to it like down the road, and you had all this false confidence. Like that's the worst, right? Like even in life, that's the worst. Like when you think you know something and you're like really adamant about it, and then you find out later you were wrong the whole time. Oh, it's terrible. So same with your tests. And there we go, we failed. Or no, we didn't. Sorry, got to fail for the right reasons too. Bring in app user. Okay, there we go. Session has unexpected key coupon ID because it got put in the session, because that particular user did not have the expired coupon, or sorry, had the used coupon. So let's undo all that and go back to passing, and there we have it. All right, I think I heard a chat bubble. Let me check. JMac, how's it going, buddy? Good, Lee. How you doing? All right, let's keep moving down the line. Dashboard controller test. All right. All right, we got this covers, and I'm just doing this as also a way to let me know which tests I went through. In the future, I'll remember that, like, these other ones, even if they have tests, they might not have, they might still say C or not have that little annotation at all. And it's just kind of something I'm doing that's going to help me, see that I haven't completed all those yet. So let's bring this dashboard controller up. Pretty straightforward stuff here. I don't think there's anything special that needs to happen here other than the fact that we need to collect their add-ons. I got a little gnat in here. That's weird. It's getting to be summertime here, so they love the basement because it's nice, and my office is in the basement, so it's nice and cool down here. Okay, let's see here. Products, order product. So the dashboard shows them the product they ordered, and then we need to pull the add-ons to show them which add-ons they're able to see. So BaseCode, that has all those different kits that we saw. Let's just go take a look at them again. It has the light kit. You just get the ebook and the code samples, so you can download the ebook and the code sample assets. And then the mid kit, you have an audio version of the book with some extra commentary that, of course, I do. And then you have access to the monthly QA calls, which we were doing before, but now they've kind of been turned into a podcast, which is available to everyone. So you can still watch all the original ones. I think there's about 6 or so. So those would be add-ons that you would get for the mid kit. And then finally, the full kit is you get some bonus videos where I do a lot of refactoring to demonstrate these in practice beyond the code samples that are in the book. So again, additional add-ons or assets that you'll get. So this lets you know what you see. So I don't really want to test like you see this and you don't see this. Not today anyway. I do think that's important. But I'm not gonna like at a controller level, I'm not concerned about testing that you got add-ons or you got like null or an empty collection or whatever here. That's my point. So I'm just gonna test the happy path right now. So the happy path is gonna need to be a user that made an order and just has some add-ons. No big deal, right? So we've seen before that we can actually change this to be order, and we'll do order. And that's going to give us a user, so we can say order user. That makes more sense anyways in my mind. If you're looking at the dashboard, we're signed in as the user who placed an order. And so the product is simply just going to be order product, just like it is over here. So that's nice and easy. And then add-ons should be add-ons. So let's make some add-ons is the point. That's what we're missing. Do I have an add-on factory? User add-on factory. Yes, I do. It's kind of weird that that's a random number though. I made add-ons a little bit weird. I made add-ons a little bit weird. Add-ons are like they're just a fake model. And this, in fairness, this was like before Caleb had that like little sushi package or whatever. This was like years before that. So let's just go take a look. Yeah, here we go. Eloquent's missing array driver. So in retrospect, not for just one model, but if I had a couple models, I'd probably pull in sushi and check this out. But I basically did this before this awesome, cool, fancy package with a fun little emoji of sushi. Caleb is so funny. But yeah, he made this package since that basically does this. It just gives me an array to mimic what Eloquent would be for an add-on. So long story short, I don't have a proper add-on model because I just made it an array model here directly in this class. The point of all that is I want to clean up this factory to give me legit add-ons that are going to correspond to, these types of things. And I can use these constants here of the add-ons to kind of get me to that point. So what we can do is let's do this proper and modern actually. Instead of doing that closure, we can just say user, or well, looks like I'm using the app prefix here, so we'll use user class. I don't know why that happened. Thanks, PHP Storm. User class, and then the rest of this is probably fine. But what I want to do here is do faker random element, I think. Yes, random element. And I want to take from the elements of the user add-on. We'll do the audio version. And let's make this a multi-line. Clean that up and plop that in. And what else do we have? We have the group calls, and then we have the bonus videos. So those, again, are all the add-ons. So if you have one of these add-ons, you should see more stuff. And this will give me a much more proper factory that I can generate. So what I'll do is I'll just say add-ons, factory, and these are always going to be random, so that's kind of nice. So what we can say is, you know what? I wonder if you can tack on unique. sorry, thinking out loud. We'll test that here in a second. Let's do user add-ons class, or no, user add-on, sorry. There we go. And we need to create this with the same user as our order. We don't want a new one in there. So we'll say user ID is the order user ID. That should be enough. And we'll close that down. And I'll actually say 2. There we go. Cool. And let's run this test. That's the wrong test. Let's run the dashboard test. And I'm still expecting a failure. All right, that's not the right failure, but we need to use refresh database. Always forget that. Okay, this is the failure I kind of expected. This is actually a little bit of a gotcha with Layerville. Factories create eloquent models, but they create, they're kind of created quote unquote in memory. They are persisted, but they're not, the proper technical term, as we'll see here in a second, is they're not refreshed. And because of that, you get a bit of an odd state and you can't compare them directly. So a straight model you can compare directly, as we've done with product. I didn't have to refresh it or anything. But when you compare a collection, there's just a bit of additional data that Layerville doesn't really get right. So the table's off, for example, for whatever reason, and the recently created is still marked as true in the case of my factory because it was recently created, but by the time it loops through and repulls it from the database on the actual application code side, it's false. And this is creating the test to fail because that comparison fails. So there's a couple things you can do. The simplest thing that I've found is basically you just say like add-ons each fresh. And I believe this resolves the issue. Nope. Is it refresh? I think it's refresh. No. There's a hacky thing you can do to it. I'm hearing some chat. Maybe they know. Yeah, you can do it to array. That gets around it. That's one of the other versions, I think. But it's the problem with to array is you would actually have to to array both sides, I think. Let's try it. No big deal. Yeah, see, object doesn't match an array because one's thinking it's a collection and then it gets passed to the model. Or sorry, we're saying it's an array, but the model passes it as a collection. There's a way around this, and I opened up a kind of an idea/issue for this, but I forgot what I called it. Layerville, let's just take some of these keywords. Layerville was recently created testing collection. View has Jason McCreary. It's in here somewhere. There we go. Oh, is this me or not? No, that's not me. Where is it? I know I made like an idea or an issue. I know Dries and I were talking about it, and it had kind of the solution. But basically, yeah, you had to kind of like refresh these up or something, or fresh or refresh. I kind of forgot which one you use. With refresh, do you have to like restore it? I forget. I always forget what fresh and refresh do, or like what the difference is. Let's find out real quick. Layerville fresh versus refresh. Come on, somebody, tell me. Okay, blah blah blah. Here we go. Come on, fresh. If it exists, static with where first, otherwise null. Okay, there is now a refresh method that you can use to refresh the object's attributes and relationships in place. So refresh does in place, which is what I want. But I think because it's a collection, Yes, there we go. I think maybe map is the tricky one. No. Each should do fresh because it's putting it back. It's putting it back into the collection, right? Well, whatever. Let's try this one more time. There we go. Okay, so again, it's not super intuitive is the point of all that. I wish this just kind of like I feel like factories should just like auto refresh them, right? I mean, you should just get what the database gave you when you call create, right? It's kind of just a little edge case, and I think that's what I opened up the issue for because I do feel like this is a bug. Like it really, there's no reason these properties shouldn't match correctly, right? It shouldn't be marked as like recently created or in a way that the app would care about. It should just give you back what the database gave you. So if you ever get any kind of errors like that, where like some small little attributes that you don't even set in your tests are not lining up in one of your assertions, that's what it is. And fresh or refresh when you're not using a collection would kind of get it done. Um, Yes, Adrian, you could do something here where I, did all, but what if you had seed data or other stuff? So again, it's, you only want those ones you created, and, all would be a bit heavy-handed, but yes, the point is you need to requery that from the database to make it match what is on the other side. Um, the other alternative would be like if Vue has was smart enough to know like if you were an eloquent collection, right? And I think that was my initial. I think I did submit a PR or some code and it got closed because it broke something else. But basically, you can do like eloquent collection here, um, and if it is the collection bit, then it works out. So. Okay, let's close that down. Adrian, there's no perfect solution. Um, that's kind of wavy hands, but yeah, yeah, there are a lot of options you can do, but I still would say that this is a lot more communicative than just saying user add-ons all. That doesn't really you don't really want all of them, right? This is a little more, in my mind, like limited to the scope of the test. And I've talked about this before, and I know not everybody agrees with that, but the point is like, I really don't want my test to do anything fancy. I want my test to be really, really declarative, because when you start putting like shortcuts or logic or one-liner or any kind of stuff that's quote unquote complex, and again, complex is subjective, and this is why people disagree. You really run into the chance where your test starts to become a little bit hard to maintain or a little bit hard to understand, and you really don't want that. I want to be able to read through this, as simply as possible. So yes, there are no, perfect solutions, but I definitely don't want to do something that's hacky or shortcutty, which is kind of why I consider this little thing here a bug, is because I just don't like that working out. You could inline it. Yes, actually, that is a good suggestion. Let's inline that. Oh wait, I did that the wrong way. Command Option in. There we go. Yes, inline it. I did the I did the variable. That's better. I do like that. Yes, this is more communicative to the point. Yes, actually, I like this refactor because this kind of communicates that for this assertion, I need those to be fresh. But anywhere else, I could have done other things. So yeah, that's good. That's a good one. Okay, we're green, and that takes care of that. I think we got one more test, and we're definitely past time, but let's kind of punch it through and see where this is. Let's at least kind of see where this is, and I can always do a future live stream. So let's change this to covers, and we definitely have a pretty straightforward order controller. We have index, so index displays order view. We have products. We want to make sure that they're ordered by ordinal, so that's nice. That's cute. So we just pluck the products. I make the products out of order. yeah, this is actually kind of, it's intuitive for what I care about, the fact that they're sorted, but it's not as intuitive otherwise. That's okay. It works. Assert C, the purchasing power. Okay, so index does not send purchasing power request when coupon or user has coupon. Okay, so so I definitely have some tests for this. I don't have any tests for store, so I'm not testing the order functionality. And this is the big boy, right? And this is one of the things that also is an add-on, and it's definitely an opportunity to clean this up. So it makes sense that this is missing, but since we're already kind of at the hour, I'm pretty sure I have, yes, testing the most important piece of your application. I have this code. This is with a dusk test, but I do talk about this. So if you're very, very interested in this part, I think what I'm going to do is cut this short, put this here. I'll put this in the notes of the stream. But this is a nice way to do like it all the way through with dusk, which is kind of fun. So again, all the code's here. I think there's some links to some gist. There's the full video itself here. It's 6 minutes. You can watch it a few times. And then, of course, Confident Layerville definitely has a section on doing all this as far as testing the order checkout. So we can deal with that, I think, in lesson 3. Yes. So all of this, pushing the code to the boundary, refactoring through the tests, and then the real integration is all there. So all like 4 of these tests, 30 minutes of video, or sorry, all 3 of these videos cover what I'm going to do. So again, I'll link those in the show notes. But yeah, this is some really long, really nasty, really kind of dense code. And there's much cleaner ways to write this, which is exactly what I did in those videos. So I'm gonna defer to those, but I'm gonna basically offline do watch those videos myself and do those. So I'll link them in the show notes. If there's any final questions, feel free to shoot them across. Otherwise, we'll cut it off right about an hour there. Thanks everyone for bearing with me and attending live, as well as the feedback. I'll see if I can dig up that issue on this refresh thing, because I think there's a cleaner way to do that. So we'll have to check it out. But until then, I'll see y'all next time. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, of course, if you aren't already, which I'm sure you are, since that's how you found the stream. But if not, please do, because I'm going to be live streaming Thursday with Nuno and Frake on some cool stuff. So see y'all then.